High school was just about numbers. It really wasn't a place for personal growth or creativity or, for me, even really happiness. It really was about surviving the system. Welcome aboard the Polar Express. It's me, Paulina, your favorite high school dropout. I'm currently leaning on Jumbo Rilakuma for some back support in my bed. So I'm coming up on my 10-year anniversary of being out of high school, and I wanted to talk about it. I'm very excited to share my story with strangers on the internet about how and why I dropped out of a regular public high school. Because I started out attending high school the traditional way, and then I didn't. It is the best decision I've ever made. So if you came across this video, maybe you're someone who is currently in high school or is going to high school next year or sometime soon, and you're wondering what decision to make as you're entering this new chapter of your life. If you're someone that's not in high school and you're just watching this for fun to see why I dropped out, that's fine too. I hope that this video might help some people in some way or another, and if so, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. So before I tell you about my high school experience, we're gonna take it all the way back to the beginning. Not preschool, elementary school. My ultimate peak in life. I swear that was the best time of my life. I had so much fun every day at school. If I could choose one era of my life to just live for the rest of my life, or to watch on repeat like a Black Mirror episode or something like that, it would be elementary school. I loved elementary school. So after elementary school would end, I would stay in aftercare for a few hours every day while I waited for someone to pick me up. And that was just so fun. Like, I was still at school, I was with all my friends, and you just do homework, I don't know, for like 30 minutes, and then you just play outside, and I would play soccer and go on the playground for hours, and it was so fun. I had so many friends. Like, there was always something to do. I was just having a blast all the time. So that was elementary school. Now, middle school, I'd say I enjoyed it. Now, middle school, I went to a different school district. So at first, I had no friends for the first few days, and then people were nice and started to talk to me. And then I was like one of the popular kids in 6th grade, which was really weird. And then I was like, oh, this is not me. So then I like really wasn't a popular kid in 7th and 8th grade. So at the beginning of this video, I told you guys that I dropped out of a traditional public school. Now you might be thinking that I dropped out because I had a traumatic experience or something really bad happened, but actually it's quite the opposite. So when I first started high school, I thought it was going to be this amazing thing, like how I've seen in all the movies and TV shows, making a bunch of new friends and finding myself and figuring out what I wanted to do with my life between the ages of 15 and 18. But pretty quickly I realized that was not what was happening. Maybe just because of where I went to school, which was in Miami. So pretty quickly I started to kind of realize that high school was just about numbers. You know, your GPA, your test scores, college applications, SAT score. It really wasn't a place for personal growth or creativity or, for me, even really happiness. It really was about surviving the system. Side note, I took a creative writing class in 10th grade, and we were making like this little magazine that we were going to publish and hand out to people in the school. And I was so fed up with all the problems in my high school. I wish I kept the list somewhere. I don't have it, but I wrote up this piece about everything that was bad in my high school. And I can't remember if I got published or not, but the principal saw it and was not very happy about that. So now let's talk about the main issue I was having in high school that was one of the catalysts for making me want to leave. I felt like I was wasting so much time being there physically, 5 days a week, 7 hours a day. And I just started to feel like I wasn't learning things that were going to help me in the long run and in the future. So going hand in hand with feeling like I was wasting so much time, you know, physically just being in classes all the time and just sitting there, is how much downtime I had during every class. So most classes, like after the lecture was done and maybe we'd have a little bit of work, there was just so much wasted time and empty space that I wasn't doing anything. So I would just read my little YA romance novels all the time. I would finish 1 to 2 books a week just from how much free time I had sitting around. But high school started feeling like a place where I just wasn't fitting in the traditional sense, if that makes sense. The system of traditional public school just wasn't really working for the way that my brain worked. It's just the way that everyone was expected to learn and even, do their work the same exact way as everyone else was a challenge for me. Okay, so now for the dropping out part. What exactly happened? So this one requires a little bit of a backstory, so bear with me. So when I was around like 15 or 16, I was taking improv classes a few times a week outside of school. So there was a new girl that started joining the improv classes, and I don't remember exactly when she joined, but it was probably somewhere around like middle of 10th grade, end of 10th grade. So her and I became friends, and I asked her where she went to school. And she told me she did school full-time online on Florida Virtual School. I had never heard of virtual school before. And keep in mind, this was around 2014. This was not the same thing as 2020 C-word Zoom school, where you would be in a virtual classroom with your teacher that you had when you were physically in school and your same classmates. This was totally different. So to explain a bit about what Florida Virtual School is so you can understand, it's an online education system with a fully online curriculum, assignments, and tests. I'm gonna read you guys this section from their website. Florida Virtual School is designed for students looking for high quality education, unparalleled flexibility and support, an academic challenge, and ownership of their education in a safe, distraction-free learning environment. Students have a variety of tuition-free, flexible, and full-time options to choose from and can enroll in either one or multiple courses. Students have convenient 24/7 online access to more than 190 courses, including NCAA approved core, electives, world languages, career and technical education, honors, college prep, and advanced placement, allowing them to study anytime and anywhere. When my friend started explaining FLVS to me, it was like my life flashed before my eyes because I couldn't believe something like this was even possible. Again, this was 10 years ago. People were not doing this, as far as I knew. Choosing my own schooling hours, not having to wake up at 6:40 a.m. every day to physically attend school was just insanity to me. You mean to tell me that I can complete my schoolwork and tests whenever I wanted at my convenience? I couldn't believe it. So once I learned about FLVS from my friend, that's when I seriously considered switching over to it, because I was just starting to feel like I couldn't handle physically going to school every day anymore. It just wasn't working for me. And that's when I had to break the news to my mom that I wanted to quit public high school to graduate online. Ever since I started having homework in elementary school, in kindergarten, I've always been a work hard, play later type of person when it came to schoolwork. So I knew that getting my assignments done was not going to be an issue because I've never been a slacker, to be honest, and I just always complete my work. There's literally only 2 assignments in my whole school life that I did not turn in, and that was just because I knew it wouldn't affect my grades, so I was like, I'm just not gonna do these 2. But other than those 2, I always did my homework. I was obsessed. I always panicked and thought that if I didn't do an assignment, my whole life was gonna come crashing down and I was gonna be so behind. That was another thing that was a problem, is if I missed a day in high school, I was so paranoid and I thought that I was going to be weeks behind on my work and I was going to take me so long to catch up, which, probably wasn't going to be the case, but I had near perfect attendance in 9th grade and 10th grade. I was nearing the flu once in 10th grade and I still came to school and I felt horrible, but I needed that bell curve on my chemistry test, and I couldn't get it if I went to the makeup day. So unfortunately, I went to school that day, and I probably still got a D on that test, because chemistry I was not good at. So my mom was a little hesitant at first, obviously, to, take me out of public school, which I've known my whole life, and switch me to Florida Virtual School, which is this online school she knew not much about. But once I talked to her about the pros and cons, which honestly there weren't really any cons to switching from regular public school to the online school, so she agreed that it would be the best thing for me. So I finally left public high school halfway through 11th grade. And let me tell you guys, once I started FLVS, I couldn't believe how much better my life got. I wasn't chronically exhausted from starting school at 7:20 a.m. every day. Even though I was strict with myself and I would make sure to go to bed at 10:30 p.m. every night to make sure I had 8 hours of sleep. Now that I was at school online, I could set my own hours. I could start at 10 a.m. I could start at 2 p.m. So how FLVS works is, there's a curriculum, and generally you're supposed to submit, I think each class is different, but like 5 assignments for English per week, and then maybe like 3 math assignments per week, something like that. So each class was different, but as long as you submitted the minimum required assignments per week, then you were still on track. But the great thing about online school was that if I wanted to do 50 assignments that week and get super ahead, I could. So I was one of those people who was submitting way more assignments and tests each week than was on pace for each class. And I was finishing the semesters way earlier than you would at a traditional high school, because in traditional, public high school, you don't set the pace for yourself. The school county sets the pace for you, and then you show up, and then each day you do what they tell you to do. The other great thing about Florida Virtual School was I didn't have to sit through a teacher's lecture every single day, multiple times a day. Each class is more so a self-guided study one because, like I said, all the assignments, tests, work, things I had to read was already preloaded into the website. But if I needed help understanding something, if there was like a topic that I didn't understand, I could attend one of the live lessons with other FLVS teachers or even classmates. So yeah, that's pretty much how my high school journey went and how I dropped out of regular traditional public high school and switched to online virtual school. Do I have any regrets? Absolutely zero. Actually, the only regret I do have is that I wished I had learned about FLVS sooner, because if I did, then I would have left public high school way earlier than just halfway through 11th grade. So the best part about FLVS was that I graduated high school 6 months early. I only did virtual school for a full year, and then I was done, while everyone else back at my high school still had 6 months to go. So my diploma is not a GED equivalent. It is a state of Florida diploma, just like any other high school. It says, "This certifies that Paulina, having satisfactorily completed all requirements of law and standards for high school graduation as prescribed by the State Board of Education and the District School Board, is hereby awarded this diploma by order of the Florida Virtual School District." I've never had a use for my physical high school diploma, and I've been so tempted to throw it in the trash can for 10 years. But you know what? It came in handy for this video, so I'll probably keep it, because I don't know, maybe in 10 more years, it'll come in handy again. What's crazy is that even though my time in public high school was not traumatic, for the past decade, I still have recurring stress dreams every few months that I'm back in high school and each time something new goes wrong. So that's not fun. But when I wake up, I just remind myself, Paulina, that wasn't real. Ignore it. If you're watching this and you're struggling in school, please know you are not broken. Traditional public school just might not be the right fit for you, and that's totally okay. If you feel trapped or maybe even invisible in the school system, you're not crazy, you're not lazy, I didn't mean for that to rhyme, but mainly you are not a failure, because success is not just one path. I'm going to be honest and say that online school is not going to work for everyone. I'm a very disciplined person, and like I said, I always completed my schoolwork on time before doing non-school related things and just, having fun or watching TV. So this will not work for everyone, but for some of you watching this, it might. So if online schooling is something you think might be better for your brain and maybe your lifestyle, do your research and see if there's an online education system equivalent in your state if you're not from Florida. So if my high school story helped you in any way, or if you have any questions about my experience dropping out, let me know in the comments. And if you're still figuring it all out, that's okay too. Now, before I end this video, I also wanted to let you guys know that not only did I drop out of high school, but I also did not go to college. And that's another one of the best decisions I've ever made. So if you want me to make that video explaining why I did not go to college, let me know in the comments as well. From all of us here at the Polar Express bedroom headquarters, we just wanted to say thank you for watching. And if you haven't already, subscribe to join the Polar Express, which is just me, and sometimes Cinema Roll. I'm still kind of figuring out what kind of long-form YouTube videos I want to make on my channel. I really enjoyed this one, so let me know what you want to see in the next video or what topics you'd be interested in me covering. Bye!